What's up, y'all? I'm already back. I'm back with another word for y'all. I got another great word. I actually just posted like 2 days ago, so I'm on top of it right now. I'm on top of it. I hope y'all are ready for this. I hope y'all been doing good. I've been doing good. I'm still working on my 5th chapter on my book, The 16-Year-Old Boy, on Wattpad. I'm still working on my 5th chapter. People are probably wondering, like, why hasn't he published the 5th chapter? I'm doing a lot, okay? I'm doing a lot, so give me some time. I'm still working on it. But yeah, y'all be ready for that. Y'all go read it. If you haven't even started it, go read that. It's very good. But yeah, let's dive into this word. Let's not talk too much. Let's get right into this. This is called right versus wrong. Right versus wrong. So with this topic, we are going to touch on some things that are considered right versus the things that are considered wrong. Okay, we're going to touch on some of those things because there's a lot. Okay, there's a lot. But we're just going to touch on some of it. And then we're also going to touch on the fact that this journey with God, following Jesus Christ, right, wanting to do his will, it's not just about doing the right thing. Now, you're probably like, what? What are you talking about? But yeah, it's not just about doing the right thing, okay? This walk with God, it's not just about doing the right thing versus doing the wrong thing, right? It's about following God, okay? That's the ultimate thing. That's the ultimate goal. You want to follow God and you want to please him, okay? And pleasing him doesn't necessarily just consist of doing the right thing. Now, of course, every second when we're following God, right? That's tying back to every second counts. Every moment we're following God, we're always doing the right thing. Of course, I'm not saying that you're not supposed to be doing the right thing all the time. No, you're supposed to be doing the right thing every single moment of your life when you're following God. But what I'm saying is that's not the only reason why you're doing it. You're not doing something just because it's the right thing. But yeah, we're going to touch on that. And I have some perfect scriptures for y'all in order to back up what I'm saying. Okay, I have 4 scriptures. And one of the scriptures that I have, it's in the NIV version and in the MSG version. Okay, I wrote down the one that's in the MSG version because obviously this Bible that I have, it's in the NIV version. Remember that I told y'all in the beginning that every time I read the Bible to y'all, it's in the NIV. But I found a perfect scripture, okay? It's the same scripture that I have in the NIV, but it's the MSG version. I love the way it worded it, and it's going to be able to help you understand better of what I'm trying to say. So I'm gonna go ahead and give that to y'all. Now the MSG version, it's probably not popular. A lot of people do not like that version, and I believe it's because they don't really understand it. They think that it's too much. But this scripture, honestly, it's not too much. It's actually perfect the way it worded it, in my opinion, right? And I know you're gonna be able to understand it, so I'm gonna give it to y'all. Okay, I love the way it worded it, and I want y'all to be able to understand this clearly of what I'm trying to give y'all. So I'm gonna go ahead and give that to y'all. But yeah, let's dive straight into this. Let's go to the first scripture, okay? Right versus wrong. We're going to touch on, again, some things that are right versus some things that are wrong that we shouldn't be doing. And we're going to touch on the fact that not everything necessarily is about just doing the right thing. All right, so let's go to the first scripture. It's 1 Corinthians 6 and 12. Let's go to it. All right, again, this is 1 Corinthians 6 and 12. Okay, let's go ahead and read it. It says, I have the right to do anything you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but I will not be mastered by anything. So this scripture is showing that we have freedom. We have the freedom to do literally whatever we want. Okay, we could do whatever we want, no matter if it's something good or something bad, no matter if it's something that's right or something that's wrong. Okay, we have the freedom to do whatever we please. But it says not everything is beneficial, and we should know this. All right, this is common sense. This should be common sense by now. Yes, we have the freedom to do whatever we want, but not everything is beneficial. Not everything is going to benefit us, no matter if it's now or in the long run. Then it goes on to say, I have the right to do anything, but I will not be mastered by anything. So not only isn't everything beneficial for you, but not everything should be mastered above you. Not everything you should allow to master you. You get what I'm saying? Our first and foremost master is Jesus Christ. Okay, he's our ultimate master. Okay, he's the one that we should have above us. Okay, that we should allow to be mastered over us. But a lot of people made it to the point where it's either they have a lot of other masters, right? They call Jesus their master, but they made it to where they have a lot of other masters as well. Or they made it to where Jesus is not their master and they have a master that's completely separate from God. But again, people have the freedom. People have the freedom to do that, okay? But it's not beneficial for them. You get what I'm saying? It's not beneficial. If you are going to allow just anything to be mastered above you, okay? If you're just going to allow anything to get to you, if you're just going to allow, this is another way to put it. If you're just going to allow anything to get over you, if you're going to allow anything to have control over you, then you're putting yourself in danger. But that's the first scripture, okay? I have the right to do anything, you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but I will not be mastered by anything. We're still going to be wise even in the midst of our freedom. We're still going to make sure that not just anything we're engaging in and not just anything we're allowing to have control over us. But let's go to the next scripture. Okay, it's 1 Corinthians 10 and 23, not too far from the scripture we just read. So let's go to it. Now, this scripture is literally the exact same as the last scripture, but I wanted to give this because it has a tiny bit of a difference that I'm going to touch on. Okay, let's go ahead and read it. It's 1 Corinthians 10 and 23. It says, I have the right to do anything, you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but not everything is constructive. That's the difference maker right there. It says at the end, but not everything is constructive. The last scripture said, but I will not be mastered by anything. This scripture says, but not everything is constructive. So we need to understand that there are some things that are meant to tear us down. Okay, it's literally just meant to tear us down. Some things will make it seem like it's trying to build us up. It's supposed to build us up. Some things appear like it's trying to construct us right into the way of God. But the truth of the matter is, it's not. It's destroying us. And then there are some things, going back to the last scripture, there are some things that just want to have, control over us. There are just things that just want to be master above us, right? They want to replace our master, Jesus Christ, and try to take over our life. And there are a lot of things that I can name that fall into that category, that just want to take over our life. It's not trying to construct us. It's not trying to, help us or benefit us. It's just trying to be master over our life. And we just need to decipher these things and understand that even in the midst of our freedom, we have to be wise. We have to understand that not everything is constructive, not everything is benefiting us, and not everything is supposed to have so much control over us. But again, we should know this. Like, we should know, even in the midst of our freedom, we can't just do whatever we want, okay? And because of that truth, a lot of people will say, then we don't have freedom. Then freedom is a lie. We're not really free. Well, no, that's not true. You're free, but that doesn't mean there's not consequences to your actions. You get what I'm saying? You need to keep in mind there's consequences to your actions. So even in the midst of your freedom, keep that in mind. There's consequences to your actions. So you shouldn't just want to do just anything that is handed to you. You shouldn't want to do just anything that you can do, right? No, you need to still be wise, and you still need to do things that are going to benefit you, that aren't trying to destroy you, that aren't trying to just replace Jesus as your master. You get what I'm saying? So just keep that in mind. But yeah, a lot of people will try to argue that then we don't really have freedom, but that's just not true. That's not true. We have freedom. You just understand that there's consequences to your actions. You can't run away from that. All right, but let's go to the next scripture. All right, the next scripture is Romans 14 and 23. We're done with Corinthians. Let's go to Romans 14 and 23. Let's get it. So this scripture, we are diving into the fact that what I said in the beginning, that not everything, right, following God, not everything is just based on, are you doing the right thing or are you doing the wrong thing? Okay, there's more to this. There's more to it. And this scripture is a glimpse of what I'm trying to tell y'all. I have more scriptures that's going to better explain what I'm trying to tell y'all. But this scripture is a glimpse of it. Okay, it's Romans 14 and 23. Again, let's read it. It says, but whoever has doubts is condemned if they eat, because their eating is not from faith. And everything that does not come from faith is sin. So with this scripture, let's focus on the last part. Let's focus on the last part, because the first part, it's talking about a whole different topic. That it was talking about scriptures beforehand. Okay, that's a whole different topic. But let's focus on the last part. It says, the last part, it says, and everything that does not come from faith is sin. What does that mean? And everything that does not come from faith is sin. that is implying that just because you're doing something right, okay, just because you're doing something that's not necessarily wrong, if it's coming from a heart that's not from faith, it's sin. So you can be doing something that's not necessarily a sin. You could be doing something that's okay to do. It's okay to do it. But because your heart is flowing from fear and not from faith, because your heart is flowing from something that's not from faith in the midst of your doing, that alone is making you a sinner. In other words, in everything that you do, it should flow from God. Okay, remember, we talked about this previously. Everything that you do should flow from God. So that means everything should be flowing from the fruits of the Spirit of God. And we'll talk about that in another video. The fruits of the Spirit. We'll talk about that in another video. But everything should flow from that. And one of the fruits of the Spirit is faith. So if something you're doing is not flowing from faith, that alone is tying you as a sinner. A lot of people are doing things because they're afraid. A lot of people are engaging in things because they're afraid. And I'll name one of them. It's a very sensitive one, but I'll name it. Abortion. Abortion is one of the biggest things that people engage in because they're afraid. Okay, it's not something that's flowing from faith. It's something that's flowing from fear. They have fear and they're doubting that they'll be able to take care of the child. They're doubting that they'll be able to provide for the child. So they do an abortion. But that's a sensitive topic that I'll talk about in another video. Okay, that's something else, again, that I'll talk about in another video. Okay, that just gave me 2 videos, 2 topics already that came up in my head. Fruits of the Spirit and abortion. Okay, I'll touch on those. But yeah, like if you're doing something that's not flowing from faith, then it's automatically a sin, regardless if what you're doing is considered right. Because again, you could be doing something that's not necessarily wrong, but because it's flowing from something that's not from faith, that alone is making you a sinner. But yeah, again, this scripture is a glimpse of the fact that not everything is based on, doing the right thing or not. It's also based on, where is your heart? Okay, is your heart in right standing with God? Is the action you're doing flowing from God? Is it flowing from the fruits of the Spirit? Again, because that's important. Okay, if you're doing something because you're afraid, you're sinning. Okay, again, you may not be doing something that's necessarily considered a sin, but because your heart is flowing from fear, you're sinning. Okay, so those things matter. It's not just about doing the right thing. Where is your heart coming from? But let's go to the next scripture. Okay, it's Philippians 1:15-18. Let's get it. Now, this scripture is touching on something that's very, very common, okay, that a lot of people fall under. So let's go ahead and read it. It's Philippians 1:15-18 again. It says, "It is true that some preach Christ out of envy and rivalry, but others out of goodwill. The latter do so out of love, knowing that I am put here for the defense of the gospel. The former preach Christ out of selfish ambition, not sincerely, supposing that they can stir up trouble for me while I am in chains. But what does it matter? The important thing is that in every way, whether from false motives or true, Christ is preached. And because of this, I rejoice. Yes, and I will continue to rejoice." So this scripture, man, that was a long scripture. But this scripture is basically saying that people preach the gospel, like I'm doing right now. People preaching the gospel. People preach the gospel simply out of envy and rivalry, simply out of selfish ambition, simply because they want to stir up trouble for other people. They don't preach Christ because they actually love other people. They only preach Christ because they want to make people mad. They want to stir up trouble. They want to create drama, right? And basically, it's just all a false motive. A lot of people do that. A lot of people fall under that category. They want to make it seem like they actually care. They want to make it seem like they actually love other people. But the truth is, they don't. They just want to stir up trouble. They just want to cause people to get mad because they feed off of that. They feed off of people, getting mad at them. And they feed off of people, wanting to curse them out, whatever it is, right? They feed off of that. So they preach Christ, not wanting to actually save other people, but just, again, wanting to stir up trouble. But people who actually love God, people who actually not just want to do the right thing, but actually want to have their heart in right standing with God, they actually love other people. And they're actually preaching God because they want to save souls. They want to, make people come to Christ. They're not trying to create drama. They're not trying to stir up trouble, even though trouble will come. Don't get me wrong. There will be trouble in this walk with God. Don't get me wrong. But that's not our goal here. We're not trying to stir up trouble. We're trying to save people. But again, a lot of people just want to cause trouble. All right. But the Bible continues to say, but what does it matter? The important thing is that in every way, whether from false motives or true, Christ is preached. And because of this, I rejoice. Yes, and I will continue to rejoice. So the Bible, it honestly shows that regardless if somebody is preaching Christ with false motives, right? We should thank God because Christ is being preached regardless. It's going to help somebody. Regardless of where their motive is at, it's going to help somebody. Christ being preached. So we should be happy either way. Regardless of where somebody's heart is at, if somebody is preaching Christ, we should be happy because Jesus is being preached. And somebody doing that is going to help somebody else, regardless of where somebody's heart is at. So we should be happy. For example, if I'm with me preaching Christ right now, if my heart was not in right standing with God, that shouldn't matter to you. You should still be able to take the message and you should still be able to learn and grow. You get what I'm saying? You should still be able to rejoice because Jesus is being preached. But yeah, I wanted to give that scripture because that's one of the biggest things that people fall under. A lot of people preach Christ just because they want to create drama. Okay, but let's not be that person. Let's not be that person. All right, but let's go to the last scripture. Okay, the last scripture. Again, it's not the NIV version, so I'm going to go ahead and read it off of my journal that I have written down. It's 1 Corinthians 6 and 12. It's that first scripture I gave y'all. 1 Corinthians 6 and 12, but it's the MSG version. And it's a little lengthy, just a little bit. It's a little lengthy, but you're going to be able to understand it completely. I promise you. I love the way it worded it because I know that you'll be able to understand it. So let me go ahead and read it for y'all. It says, just because something is technically legal doesn't mean that it's spiritually appropriate. If I went around doing whatever I thought I could get by with, I'd be a slave to my whims. You know the old saying, first you eat to live and then you live to eat? Well, it may be true that the body is only a temporary thing, but that's no excuse for stuffing your body with food or indulging it with sex. Since the master honors you with a body, honor him with your body. That's what I was saying. Like, you can literally be doing something that's not necessarily wrong, but because, for example, if it's not flowing from faith, right? If it's not flowing from, the fruits of the spirit, for example, it's flowing from fear, then you're sinning. It's not appropriate to do it, regardless if it's legal or not. And it gave two big examples. All right, it gave two big examples. The first one was food, and the second one was sex. With the food, it said, the old saying, first you eat to live, and then you live to eat. Well, it may be true that the body is a temporary thing, but that's no excuse to be stuffing your body with food. Now, that part is referring to when we get to heaven, we are not going to keep our fleshly bodies. All right, we are going to be put in new spiritual bodies. And that's a whole nother topic I'll touch on in another video. Okay, that's another, man, there's a lot of topics I can touch on. But yeah, that's a whole different thing. Okay, we are going to be put in different bodies. This body is temporary. Okay, your body is temporary. But just because that's true, that doesn't mean you can just stuff your body with food. And that doesn't mean you can just indulge it with sex. Because how many people are going around just doing whatever they want in regards to sex? Like, they just have sex with anybody. They just have any sexual relations with whoever they meet, right? A lot of people are doing that because they have in their mind that this life is temporary. This body is temporary. We only live once, right? So I can just do whatever I want. But that's not true. That's not true. You don't only live once. You actually live twice. That's another topic I could touch on. Oh my goodness. That's another topic, right? But yeah, like, that's no excuse to just be doing whatever, okay? Because we are supposed to be pleasing God in everything that we do. And like it said, not everything is spiritually appropriate, regardless if it's legal or not. So we need to make sure that we're doing things that not only is legal, not only is the right thing to do, but is it spiritually appropriate? And I love the way it ended it, okay? It says, since the master honors you with a body, referring to Jesus Christ, okay? Because Jesus Christ, a body, he sacrificed his own son, okay, for us, honor him with your body. You get what I'm saying? So if God can honor you, if God can honor us with a body, sacrifice his own son, right? We should honor him with our bodies. In other words, make sure, even though this is a temporary thing, make sure you are honoring God with it. Make sure you are, pleasing God with your bodies. Because just because it's temporary, that doesn't mean you shouldn't take care of your body. If you were to go around and not care for your body and just indulge your body with just anything, right? Regardless if it's food or sex, you're going to ruin your body. And that could kill you. That can kill you. But again, we should know this. We should know not to indulge ourselves with just any kind of food, regardless if it's food or sex. Like, we shouldn't be indulging ourselves with just anything at any given moment. No, we should have discipline, and we should understand that we need to be wise in what we do and what we indulge ourselves with. Because if not, you could put yourself in a position to where you die sooner than you were supposed to. You die when you had a calling for you, you had a future, right? But because you didn't want to discipline yourself, you wanted to indulge yourself and engage with just anything, right? You leave earlier than you were supposed to. Point is, we need to make sure in everything that we do that it's not just legal to do it, right? Because obviously that matters. Is it legal? Is it not legal, right? But make sure if it's spiritually appropriate to do it. Because if it's not spiritually appropriate, or if it's not something flowing from faith, if it's not something that's flowing from God or the fruits of the Spirit of God, then you're sinning. Regardless if what you're doing is right, you're sinning. Again, this ties to your motives. This ties to where your heart is. Where is your actions flowing from? Where is your heart flowing from? Is it flowing from God? Is it flowing from the fruits of the Spirit? Faith, love, peace, right? Those are fruits of the Spirit. Again, I'll give y'all, I'll explain that in the new video on what the fruits of the Spirits are. But, excuse me. But yeah, like, this is very important. It's not just about doing the right thing. It's about where your heart is at. Where is your heart at? Is your motives in right standing with God? Is what you're doing spiritually appropriate, right? Because that is what's really going to define your relationship with God. Like, you're not just looking to do the right thing. You're looking to do something that's spiritually appropriate, that's really pleasing God, and your heart is in right standing. Your motives are in right standing. Everything needs to be in right standing with God. But that's it. Man, that's it. I know that was a lot. That was a lot, even a lot for me, because my voice is starting to give out. But yeah, man, that's it. Like, just make sure that you're not just doing the right thing. Like, you're doing things that are spiritually appropriate. It's not just because it's legal to do it, right? Although that's important, make sure it's legal, right? Make sure it's the right thing to do, but also make sure it's spiritually appropriate, because that's important. Okay, but yeah, again, that's it, man. That's it. I gotta stop. My voice is giving out, as y'all can see. My voice is giving out. But yeah, that was very important to talk about. But that's it. I love y'all, man. Just make sure y'all are doing the right thing, and not just doing the right thing, but doing things that are actually flowing from God. Your motives are correct. Your heart's in right standing. It's spiritually appropriate. Okay. But yeah, all those new topics that I came up with while going through this video, I'm gonna go ahead and write those things down, man, because there's a lot of things to touch on. But yeah, again, that's it, man. That's it. God bless y'all. I'm getting topics. Y'all see it. I'm getting topics. So get ready for some good words on these next videos, man. But I love y'all, and y'all stay tuned for the next one. Y'all have a good one.